committowealth.com, creating a legacy by committing to real estate wealth.
Welcome back to another episode of the Commit to Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Juan Vargas, bringing you another awesome guest. If you guys like what you hear on the episodes, if you like what you hear on the podcast, please head on over to iTunes, whichever platform you listen to, and leave us a 5-star rating or review. We certainly do appreciate that. So with us today, we have Ekaterina Stepanova. Is that correct? I want to make sure I'm saying your name properly. Ekaterina Stepanova. And Katerina, she got her start in real estate investing at the age of 24 when she acquired a small apartment in her hometown of Moscow, Russia. Soon after, she immigrated to the U.S. and continued her desire of residential rental property investing and eventually commercial property investing, acquiring 2 mobile home park communities. So, Katerina, welcome to the show.
Hey, Juan. Thank you very much for having me. So excited.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you on. I really do appreciate your time. So thank you so much. So tell us a little bit more about your background. You know, who are you? You know, we know that you're from Moscow, Russia. Tell us a little bit more about your background and how you came to the U.S.
Of course. Well, Juan, excited to share the story. Came to U.S. 13 years ago from Moscow, Russia, as you said, and got my start, I guess, in the real estate when I purchased my first primary residence, small, tiny apartment in Moscow, and I thought that that would be my property, that would be my home forever. However, the life just turned different, and I had opportunity to come to U.S., which I took, and 13 years ago, I pretty much started my brand new life full of different opportunities, and all roads were open. So I was very excited to just see what I could possibly do here. As I then left my family and left my apartment behind, I also learned that if it's to rent, I would have rental income, which will cover my mortgage, and there will be something left extra. So that was a new concept for me. I was very excited. As I was starting out here, I was just doing regular W-2, which is, starting as maybe most of the immigrants from scratch. I had $130 when I got here, so it was a starting from beginning, from the very, very beginning, finding a job, just finding a place to live, and one step after another. And when I finally was in a position to purchase real estate, I thought I would love it to be some type of rental property, as I had some taste for it previously. So I purchased my first turnkey property in Memphis, and as I experienced 2 subsequent evictions in the course of just 6 months, I quickly realized that this might not take me to early retirement. So I would need probably to look and figure something else out. And
so you acquired a couple. Was it just one property in Memphis? It was one property in Memphis, but you went through 2 evictions in a short period of time. And so that's what kind of like clicked for you. And you're like, you know what, this is not the right path for me. Maybe I want to get into a different asset class other than residential. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that is absolutely correct. And I was learning about real estate investing, reading for a couple of years before I purchased my first turnkey. So, and I just learned that you have to do something, you have to try something before you really decide what's the best path. So I think it was just a matter of trying and doing, because there is no other way to really know for sure what works for you specifically. So, and then when I realized that the residential probably is not the right path for long-term wealth for me, I started looking into commercial, and I started researching some more. And again, I would highly recommend podcasts and and resources such as I got my start at the Bigger Pockets, as probably many of your listeners as well.
Yeah, I'm going to second that one for sure. I mean, I was able to learn a ton, from just, if you're out there and you're listening and, you haven't started in real estate just yet, there's so many different asset classes that you could do. And they all can be very profitable and very rewarding, right? But which one can you do, right? You can't do them all. So you have to really dig into it. But Bigger Pockets is an awesome resource because you can just find, hey, let me learn about this. And maybe it doesn't fit your lifestyle. Maybe it doesn't fit your goals.
Exactly.
But I definitely recommend Bigger Pockets as well. So, thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. To me, it was essential to meet people in the industry and to learn from them, their experience. And people are generally very open. Like on Bigger Pockets, I met amazing people who were able to share. Also, listening to podcasts and just reaching out to hosts of the podcast and whoever impressed me, I was reaching out and just asking questions. And people are, in general, very generous with information, and they could share some tips. And from that, you can also see if that is the right fit for you. So, for example, when I was looking into commercial real estate, I first started looking into multifamily. And I was doing a very close research and talking to people, talking to brokers, talking to investors in that space for probably 6 months. And as I was unable to find something that would show me a good cash flow and would look like a really good deal, cash flow, this is my goal. So I was looking for the property for that with that criteria in mind. So as I was not able to find something that fit that criteria, I started looking elsewhere. Not that multifamily does not fit the cash flow criteria. No, it just also for me was important to know what's the barrier of entry, because as I mentioned, I did not have much cash in the bank. I do have though advertising and marketing background. So I thought, okay, what would be my point of entry where I could put my skills to work, and what would be the easiest way for me to get started. So at that point, doing the research again and listen to podcasts, I found mobile home park investing niche. So, and that's where I am right now.
So I want to say something real quick, which I really like, because you looked at yourself and I think this is something that I've talked about as well, like just in general conversations, right? People that want to get started and, they always come up with something, right? A reason as to why they cannot get started or why this and that cannot happen, right? Instead of looking at it from the viewpoint of why can't I get started, right? And that's what you did, right? Maybe financially you weren't there at that moment, at that time, but then you looked at it, you took a step back and you looked at, hey, look, I have a background in marketing. I can use this to get into some deals, right? And that's what, everybody should do, right? Because it takes all kinds of different skill sets and backgrounds to put together a deal and to run a deal and go through the whole process, right? Marketing, right? Analysis, right? Maybe you have property management background. Maybe you have a construction background, right? Maybe you have a sales background, with brokers and, and sellers and, buyers and those type of things, right?
Right.
There's all a lending background, right? So there's all kinds of different backgrounds that you can use your skill set to partner with, somebody else that doesn't have that skill set. So I really like that. It just stood out to me when you said that. So I was like, I just wanted to mention that to everybody out there. Like, there's so many ways and reasons why you should, very few reasons why you shouldn't,
Exactly.
So I just wanted to say that real quick.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think, I don't know, Juan, I'm going to just bring this up because it always stands out. I think immigrants in that perspective have is a very unique advantage because when we come to this country, we just think everything is possible. There is a whole world opens up. And I think that's what we see, all this world of possibility and opportunities that we did not have before. So we just very excited, I think, about this opportunity and figuring things out and not being afraid to fail. So that was
you nailed that one 100%. And that's another topic that I discuss all the time. And I look at it, and this doesn't go across the board, right? It doesn't go across the board, but one thing that I have noticed is a lot of successful people, and I'm not saying all, right? So it doesn't go across the board, as I said, but a lot of successful people are immigrants. Why is that? Why is that? Is it because, we as Americans, born and raised in this country, do we take things for granted? Do we assume that things are going to happen for us just because we're born in this country and we live in this country? Is that the reason why? Or is it that immigrants just come in here because they know it's a land of opportunity, land of freedom, and you make it happen, right? There's very few things that kind of, that you make an excuse for, right? So I say that, so many times over and over again. You're an example of that. I was born in this country, but definitely, my parents are immigrants into this country. So you look around the United States, I think the majority of us are immigrants. But it shouldn't give us, it should push you that much further, right? And push you that much harder and give you so many more goals as to accomplish them.
No, absolutely, and this is a great advantage, I think, to have this to view the your future from that perspective. And one more thing I just want to add to being able to put your skills to work and just being determined to succeed. I think I personally love, and I always say it, I think partnerships are amazing. And when you come and you know that, and you very good to start in a new niche or just a new venture, you just look at what what you bring to the table. And I think that is a great benefit if you can partner up with people of complementary skills, and you just will get yourself started so much faster, and you can scale up so much faster.
That much faster, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's 100%. Teamwork, right? There's no I in team and the word team, and so it's 100% teamwork. And everything you do, it's, if you want to be successful, then you gotta have a team. What's that one phrase? And I'm gonna say it real quick if I remember it. But if you want to go, what was it? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Something like that. So it's powerful, right? So that's a very good one. So okay, so let's shift over a little bit to that first deal, right? Your first deal, right? So you had I guess it was a single family house, right? That you went through a couple of evictions. You went through, was it a course, or was it a seminar, something like that, where it was on mobile home parks and mobile home communities and investing?
Yep.
Was that the case? Okay.
Exactly.
And so take us from that point.
Sure. So as I was talking about the partnership, so this is exactly where I met my partners. I recommend, whichever niche you really interested in, take classes, take seminars, and see who is out there really eager and really trying things. Partner up with those folks. So this is exactly what I did. And it's been, over 2 years ago. And, I have my partners. This is who we do deals together with. And so our first deal, exactly. So I took that was a course from Kevin, Bob, and Charles D. Hart, Mobile Home Park Investment Academy.
I know Kevin, yes.
Yeah. So I took their course. I was very excited to get started. It was, I think I was the first one
to sign up.
Yeah, exactly. I think I was like number one there. I couldn't wait for it to get started. It was amazing. So Charles D. Hart was my mentor ever since in the industry. He was absolutely instrumental. He introduced me to my first partner, and Matt Battinger. We founded M2K Partners with him. Then we got joined by another academy alumni, Nick Villanueva. So we all over the place. Nick is in California, Matt is in Atlanta, I'm in New York, but we were just in pursuit of the same goal. And we saw, okay, Matt had a few parks already. So he went into academy to learn some more. He actually went to learn about marketing. So
interesting.
It was just perfect.
Yeah, it was a perfect, it fit like a glove. Yes.
Exactly. I knew marketing. I was learning mobile home park niche, and he already had some experience. So that was perfect. And Nick, he has a background in commercial real estate, in apartment buildings, and just business overall background. He's just a very savvy business person. And so he brought in knowing financing knowledge. And so it was just, that's how we took our first deal down.
Nice. So tell us about this first deal. Tell us, what market was it in? Maybe if you can, talk numbers, go ahead and talk numbers, the size of it as well. And particularly, I want to talk about, the financing as well, right? That's obviously a big part of it. Sometimes that's what makes and breaks deals, makes or breaks deals, let's just say. So yeah, go ahead and talk about that.
Sure. And Juan, I like that you touched upon financing, because in mobile home park space, financing is a very, very special topic because of the size of the loans and because of the complexity of the deals of park-owned homes and chattel finance and all those complications. That's why mobile home park financing is not straightforward. So this is a great point. Well, so about the deal, this is a 38 space park in Pensacola, MSA. And we purchased it now, I think, close to 2 years back, and for $725,000. Our plan for the park was to sell off park-owned homes, and which we did by now. Increase lot rents, which we did the first year. And just overall pretty up the community. We knew that it wouldn't be a heavy lifting, but we just would need to know very specific thing. And that specific thing was how to sell off homes. And this is when, let me backtrack for a second. Why would you want to sell off homes? What's the thing with homes?
Right. Yeah. So I guess just to explain to the audience, some parks have park-owned homes, and then they also have some homes that are I guess owned by the tenants, right?
Correct.
And so there's one that's preferred over the other, and I'll let you go ahead and go into the details. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, Juan, this is a thing. Depending on the market, some park owners might prefer to have rentals, which means they prefer to have park-owned homes in their parks, because that's the market and that's the expectation in the market. Most of the park owners, park investors, I should say, they prefer not to have any park-owned homes because of the maintenance expense. So the lean way to own a mobile home park as an investment is to have 0 park-owned homes, to just rent lots on which park homes are located, to have city water and sewer that are billed back directly to tenants, so you don't have any ongoing monthly
expenses or maintenance
expenses related to that.
So you would want the mobile homes to be owned by the tenants, so that you don't have to have the maintenance. So anything that happens to those mobile homes, they're responsible for. That's not on you. You're responsible for like amenities and utilities that are, make sure that they have utilities, even though you're not necessarily the one paying for it in some cases. And then as far as the water supply, sewer, you would prefer it to be city instead of like your own water well and sewer, for the same reason, to reduce any maintenance costs there as well.
That is absolutely correct. In that particular park, we have city water and septics. However, it's very possible that you could have mobile home parks are set up that you could have all kinds of different utilities situation there. You could have well for water, you could have city water, you could have septics for sewer, you could have city sewer, which is ideal, you could have wastewater treatment plant, or worst case, you could have lagoon. And my suggestion, don't have lagoon, just don't. So for that specific park, we had septics 1-on-1, which means each home is located on each septic, and we had city sewer, so city water. So that was pretty straightforward, not much maintenance at all. So
nice.
And that was our plan. We just wanted to sell off homes, so to decrease expense ratio and increase lot rent, which we knew that lot rents were under market, which we were able to do within the first year. So pretty much increase NOI, decrease expenses, and see if we can refi out or possibly sell, because this particular park was, as it is smaller, we were looking at it as a, so to speak, long-term flip in the course of 2 years. So that's our plan with this park.
So I want to go back real quick. So you mentioned that there were some park-owned homes. So in theory, you should be able to get higher rent because you own those homes, right? If you're the park owner, you should be able to get your higher rent. So just for an argument's sake, why not just keep it that way? Because it's still going to the bottom line, right? So even if you have a little bit higher expenses, you're also able to get higher rent. So why not just keep it that way, as opposed to like just selling it off and then you have to have lower rent? Does that make sense? So can you kind of like make that argument, why you would still want to sell? Sure.
Well, first off, mobile homes are, they're not considered personal, they're not considered a real estate, okay? They're personal property, which is like a car. So what happens with your car as soon as it drives off the lot?
Depreciates.
Exactly. And those homes, they are getting older and they are becoming obsolete over time. So you wouldn't want to, as a park owner, you would not want to maintain those homes as they become older and older, and while you have to pay taxes and insurance. So this expense becomes really heavy, especially as time progresses and homes are older homes are smaller, so you wouldn't want to have all this headache of figuring out. So now you're renting that home and it brings you income. Then it becomes older, so you need to demolish it, bring a new one in its place. So now it's all you, all your headache. So would you not rather have someone else
just sell it off as quickly as possible?
Exactly. So because for someone that's that could be a good deal, but for you as a park owner, you have so many other things to take care of.
Exactly. Okay, so that explains that, I knew that answer as well, but I just for people that it doesn't really make sense. Like, why not just keep it and have a higher rent? And yes, you can have a little bit higher expenses, but it doesn't really make sense. But you explained it well, and so I appreciate that. So tell us some ways that you're reducing expenses, right? Apart from selling your homes, which is one way, right? If you have any park-owned homes, but what's another way that you can reduce your expenses, right? What are some of the I guess low-hanging fruit that you can call that, right? That you can do to these communities where you can significantly reduce the expenses.
Well, you would probably want to see if you can submit your utilities. If they're not submitted, that's what you would want to do. And in our other park in Michigan, that's exactly what we're doing. It's a very heavy turnaround project, and we right now, right in the middle of it all, we are submitting water, we submitting electricity, we are repairing roads, and this is these are all things that will help you decrease your expenses. That is why you would want to budget ahead of time before you even purchase the deal, that you would want to budget all in and project that these would be the steps for you to go about decreasing your expenses and in your steps of turning this park around. This and of course seeing about increasing the lot rents, and especially in the park. Just something I wanted to mention, because this might be a quite interesting concept. At least I found it very interesting when just getting into the space. For example, if you purchase in a park and you have all park-owned properties there, so let's say your rent is 600, your rent for a home is 600. So you could actually go ahead and, when you take over the park, there is no set mark what your lot rent is. You only have a mark for your home rent in the park. So you could, whatever is your delta between home rent and lot rent is not defined. So you could actually go ahead and set the bar at whatever you want, because nothing changes for tenant. However, you as an operator, as an investor, set yourself up straight to market, and this way when you go about financing or refinancing, your property will be valued at the point of your lot rent, which means this is one of the points that we took into account in our park in Florida. We came in and parks, these were all park-owned homes, so the lot rent was not really set. So we had this opportunity to come in and set it straight to market, which brought our value of the asset,
much higher. Yeah.
Exactly, right away higher. So that was one of the attractive features of
Nice. Okay, good. So let's kind of jump over to the financing. That's something that we did mention a little bit before we started, talking a little bit more into the operational side. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the financing, right? Because that's such an important piece. As you mentioned, every single property, every single asset is not going to be the same, right? There's no product that fits each type. So let's talk about your specific situation. We can also talk about like a general idea of what the financing looks like, right? We can maybe touch on that first, and then we'll go into the specifics of your deal and how that all worked out for you.
Sure. Well, when you purchase in mobile home parks, guys, you should just consider and just know that what is going to be taken into consideration, obviously, is location, size, quality of asset, which means for mobile home parks is location and how the park looks like. The roads are paved or gravel. The roads, you have parking pads or not? Do you have curbs or not? The size of the park, of course. Based on that, you would be able to, for those nicer properties and larger, you would be able probably still to get agency debt, depending, of course, on the size of the loan. So, as of this week, I heard from a mortgage broker that they were able to even get agency financing for property loan size of around $1 million. So which is amazing. It was previously, it was unless you 0.5 somewhere in that ballpark loan amount, you wouldn't even get agency financing. And now agencies getting closer to getting a little bit more familiar with mobile home park space. So we are able to have this type of financing available in smaller deals as well.
Real quick, I was on one of Kevin's webinars, I don't know, 2-3 weeks back.
Yeah.
And he had a guest. It was a guest broker, right? A broker that
Jeff Moss.
Yes.
And then got us the financing on Florida deal. Yes.
Yes. And then he had the financing guy, right? And so it's just interesting, right? Like from somebody just outside looking in, if you're not already in the space, it's just interesting how you can, in some of these properties, you can get better financing than you can on some of these multifamily properties, right? So you come in here, like, you're like, for me, I'm a multifamily investor owner. And, we feel like we can get some of the best financing out there.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these mobile home communities, and their debt, the way they're structuring it, is like it is blowing the water off of these, right? The doors off of these other financings on these multi-family deals.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get some really, really attractive terms on some of these communities, is what I'm trying to say,
Yeah, you really can. Juan, there is another thing that comes into consideration when you're talking about attractive parks like this. There's a much higher competition for those parks as well. So, and that is why park investors like myself, we oftentimes don't get those properties simply because they're getting scooped up very fast.
They're gone quickly.
And the pricing on those parks is very competitive. So the market is really getting hot. So for us, we are going after bank financing, usually for properties that we're looking at, because we do like turnaround value add parks. And for those, that is why it's great to have good relationship with mortgage brokers specific to mobile home park industry, because they know all ins and outs, which banks could have appetite for what type of parks. And one thing that I just want to bring to your listeners' attention is banks will not, 98% of the time, they will not take into account your inventory value, meaning your park-owned home's value, simply because it's a personal property. It's not a real estate. So you really have to know how to underwrite the deal, and you should really be underwriting it from the perspective of lot rent only, to know that you will be able to get financing. Because if you would be underwriting home rents, you would be disappointed.
They may not count that. They may not. So what you're saying from an underwriting perspective, if any of you guys out there have a deal from an underwriting perspective,
Mm-hmm.
only take into account the lot rent. But what happens if you have, say, 100% park owned homes, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so what's going to be your lot rent? Do you just look at the market? Is that how you do your performance? Just look at the market and see what they're doing, and then put it in for financing that way? Or how do they underwrite it?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much how it's gonna happen. You would look at the comps in the area. You would look at the lot rents, and the deal will be underwritten by a financing institution based on the market lot rents. They will not be taken into account your home rent.
The home rent, got it.
Exactly. That is why I was just emphasizing lot rents. Setting up
lot rent, yes,
is so critical for park financing. And another thing, just to mention that the loan amount, the as we were saying, the benefit of mobile home parks, because the price point is much more attractive, is much lower than multifamily. So its financing might be harder to get, simply because the loan amount are lower, so they're less attractive to financing institutions. That is why I would again highly recommend going through a specialized mortgage broker who know exactly what you can finance and which you would have hard time financing.
Correct. So like in the multifamily space, typically if there's a loan amount under $1 million, right? And I say typically because in most cases, right, 99 out of 100, if it's a loan amount is under $1 million, then like Fannie and Freddie are pretty much out, right? So then you have to go with bank financing, which you're not always going to get the better terms, right? So that kind of is the same thing that you're saying here is, the purchase price is usually lower, right? Like your property that was at 38 units, I think 38 pads, was 700,000+. So that's already under $1 million. So that's already going to put you in a different category, because that's the purchase price. That's not, you're not even subtracting the down payment, right?
Exactly.
And to get to your loan amount. So that makes sense.
yeah, so it took a magician to find us a loan.
So tell us a little bit.
Totally.
So tell us about your terms, right? If you can talk about that, right? Tell us a little bit more about that, just to kind of give us an idea of what to expect as well.
So I'm not sure if in current environment you will be able to find such loan because again, COVID and things like that happen. So financing is really tight right now, and your asset quality have to be much higher to get good financing, or just get financing at this very moment. But hopefully soon will things normalize. But we were able to get a 5-year term amortized over, I believe, 20 or 25 years. I think it's 6% interest rate, and we knew that it would work for us because it's a sort of a long-term flip. So that is why it made sense for us to take. And overall, it was just making sense. But that's kind of
that's the ballpark, right?
Or exactly the sort of the deal you would probably be able to get. But again, no extra for park-owned homes. Park-owned homes are not counted as they counted against you. Okay, you are wow. You're required to insure those homes, so it's a negative for you because we had to purchase very expensive insurance to insure these properties. That's why we were just really eager to sell them off as soon as we possibly can, so we can get rid of that large insurance bill as
well. Makes sense. Okay, good. I love that. Okay. Real quick, can you give us any advice to audience members, to those that are looking to get started, either actively or passively? I know it's kind of two different paths there, but is there anything that you can give as far as advice, anything in particular?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would suggest dig really deep in educating yourself about this asset class. Just you have to, if one of the things that really attracted me to this industry, I'll be just very honest, and hopefully, you guys, if you were to try mobile home park investing, you check this out and see the benefit of it. So one of the biggest benefits of this industry is you mostly dealing with mom and pops. And these mom and pops, they're fantastic. If you go and visit them or call them and spend time on the phone with them, they will tell you everything that you need to know. They will teach you, they will explain things to you. Just give them time, be humble, learn, just be honest, say, I don't know anything about anything. This is my first call. I'm sorry, I don't mean to waste your time or pretend like I'm big shot buyer here, but I'm really interested. I'm maybe in the neighborhood. Can I maybe stop by? Would that be possible for me to see your park? And 9 out of 10 will say, sure, I'll stop by, let me show you around, and they will explain things to you, and they're fantastic. So this is one of the biggest benefits of this investment niche, of this industry, that I absolutely love.
That's that's a good point there, and I know that too, but you don't think about it all the time, right? And it's very good because, as you mentioned, a lot of it is mom and pop. So these are, it could be maybe older generations that have had these for forever, and eventually they're going to want to sell, right? They're not going to want to hold on to them forever. Eventually, they're going to have to trade hands and to the younger generation, right? But it's always good to follow the basics and build that rapport, right? Build that relationship with them and try to get something going. So try to get something concrete in there, that you have the opportunity and maybe the first one in line if something were to happen and they wanted to sell, they wanted to exit on that property, right? So that's always a good idea, and just in general, no matter what you're doing, but especially in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would recommend highly Frank Rolfe's mobile home park academy, I think university. There is a forum. It's a great resource. I would highly recommend his podcasts. And he's just amazing. He does seminars, he does webinars, and he stays on for hours afterwards answering questions.
Just answering questions. And you said that was Frank Rolf?
Rolf. He's the largest mobile home park investor in the country.
Nice.
Yeah, the guy is fantastic. I'm a big fan. I would highly recommend checking out SECO. It's a Southeast Conference for Mobile Home Park Owners that was taking place yearly in Atlanta. This is the place where park owners come to meet. So those, as you would, your audience would know, is again mom and pops. This is where they come. This is where they go to meet once a year and talk shop and just in a very old-fashioned way. And that was incredible. So Spencer Rohn is a co-founder of it, and he and his team, they share information generously.
Okay, great.
So, yeah.
No, that's a very good resource. I appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. Okay, Katerina, it's time for our nuggets of wealth. So you ready for that?
Sure.
Let's do it. So question number one, what is a good tool, source, or platform that you use almost daily that can also help others?
Mm-hmm. I daily use, I think I use our project management, the software, just for my team and our park managers to operate in. So we just use monday.com, and that's where we do our daily things, just to keep track of things. I use another for leads. It's just CRM for leads. So I like things organized.
Yeah, I think you have to be, like, if you're really serious about business, then you definitely have to have, some more organization there.
Mm-hmm.
Which book are you currently reading, and which one has had the biggest impact on your life?
Well, I'm currently, I just finished, that was a little bit, it's not really real estate related, but it was just a really good outlook on life sort of book by Kickstarter co-founder, or founder rather, Yancey Strickler. It's called Manifesto. This could be our future. And in this book, he's talking about a collaborative future for all of us, how this farming versus hunting approach to doing business is going to win at the end. So I love this concept a lot. This is very close to my heart.
Okay, great. Do you have any rules for success that you live by?
I do believe you have to lead by example, and that's just, and you have to stay consistent and lead by example. That's the only way, I think.
Good. Okay. How do you best manage your time?
Well, recently I've discovered, and actually I use it now daily. This is the High Performance Planner. This is a huge book right here, but this starts me early in the morning with my goals and intentions for the day, and just sets. It has a section morning mindset and what your top 3 goals and priorities, tasks that absolutely must be done today. So it kind of keeps me very clear and organized. And then in the evening, there is an evening journal that helps me reflect on my day and just to see how it went from that perspective. Yeah,
awesome. At the end of your life, how do you want to be remembered?
I think people talk about legacy, and I think we all want to leave something behind, something what people say, hey, there was something about, there was purpose, and I think for me, it's just important to be remembered that had this purpose, and I was building something that is going to benefit more than just myself and my family, that it would benefit other people. So.
Okay. Where can Commit to Wealth Nation go to contact you and find out more about M2K Partners?
Sure. Well, M2K Partners, we are just at mhpteam.com. And I'm also hosting the MHP Tribe group on Facebook. I host weekly calls with my tribe. We talk shop, we learn things, we swap tips and our weekly progress, our challenges and successes. And so there I also post updates on our parks, what my partners and I are up to, what we've been doing, what we've been turning around this week, what challenges we had. So we post all of that there. We post webinars there, so we host webinars bi-monthly. So a lot of things happening. So just that is a good place to find me.
Nice.
Yeah.
And is this Facebook group a private Facebook group, or is it open to the public?
It is open. Yeah, it is open.
Okay.
MHP
Well then,
Tribe.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then we've got to make sure that we have that link in the show notes as well, so like that, you guys see it. But what was the name of it? You said MHP Tribe.
Tribe group. Yes, on
Facebook. Facebook
mm-hmm.
group. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Katerina, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. It really, really was. I love the conversation. And I love all the information that you were able to provide. Both from your personal background to the deals that you went through. Your mobile home park community, your very first mobile home park community. Although we didn't get to talk about the other mobile home park community that you're involved in. We'll have to say that for round 2 on the show. Yeah, round 2 on the show. But I really do appreciate it. I thank you so much for the value that you provided.
Thank you very much, Juan. It was a pleasure, and I hope your listeners can benefit from this information. I'm always happy to talk to anyone who is interested in parks. This is my favorite topic. I love hanging out with my fellow tribe people and talk shop and help whatever I can, just trying to pay it forward. And because I benefit greatly from mentors. So
that's what it is.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, and I wish you continued success.
CommitToWealth.com, creating a legacy by committing to real estate wealth.